Brandon, we can't hardly hear Tori at all.
How's that?
It's a little better, but it's still quiet.
Did I just speak louder? Does that help? No.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's turned down or something though, because the announcement that the meeting has started is louder than you.
Test. Test. Test.
It's better.
Good morning, everyone. We are calling to order at 9:04 a.m. Good morning. Welcome to the Winnebago Tribal Council meeting. We have an agenda that was prepared for us. We are having a presentation from Leo Daly under new business. We'll have our guests go first. Are there any other additions to the agenda? Under new business as well, we have the Frenchman girls athletic match request. Are there any further additions?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to add the subject of in-home caregivers.
Would you like to under new business, old business, or council?
Council.
In-home caregivers.
And did we add the Leo Daly?
Yes.
All right.
Sorry. I'm not going to add it, but I just want to make a quick statement. I was going to add the mask mandate, but I think I will wait until the mid-month after more news and stuff. So we'll give it a couple more weeks. 'Cause I was thought about adding it today and making a motion, but I think I want
Okay,
to give
thanks.
another week or two.
Thanks, Coley. For the membership's information, last week there was some email traffic, and you saw in the news about the different mask mandate liftings. And so Councilman Brown was looking at bringing that to the table, and there was outreach to our public health department, and they're going to be bringing some community data the mid-month meeting to have that discussion. So Coley, thank you for thinking ahead and monitoring that. Oh, Rhoda had something.
Oh,
Would you like to under adding powwow, you want to call that guidelines or what would powwow discussion? Okay. Further additions to the agenda? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to.
We have a motion by Coley. Do we have a second? We have a second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. Thank you, Council. The first item is the... Oh, excuse me, 7.
And Coley.
You didn't hear them?
Barely hear them.
He can barely hear Rona and Coley as well. Oh my God. Okay, I'm a little off this morning, guys. I'm always a little bit off. We did not say our morning prayer, and we did not start this morning off. And my lovely treasurer reminded me, so I'm going to ask her because she's on game today.
here we come to you today to on this. Take care of our people. Those in mourning, veterans. Take care of all the sick. Watch over all the tribal council family, all the people that they take.
Thank you for that. That is a part of our protocol. At this time, we'll move to the reading of the minutes, and our first set of minutes are the 2/21/22 mid-monthly meeting minutes. We have a motion. We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7. The next set of minutes are the emergency services report minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Coley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Louis. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0. The third set are the February 23rd General Council meeting minutes. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0. The last set are the 225 Treasurer's Report minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
By Coley. Do we have a second? Second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0. That brings us to our 5 signature ratifications. First one is, or the only one is adopt resolution 22-73. And that action we took to phase 2, and that had a timely submission, so we did a 5 signature. We have a motion to ratify. Motion
Second.
by Rona, second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0. That brings us to our new business, and I would like to introduce the Leo Daily team. For the memberships information, the Tribal Council and Tribal Organization have been engaged in a process with Leo Daily, architect firm, and there are a variety of infrastructure projects throughout the community that are in the planning stage. And one of the things that has been discussed and vetted through the community survey, vetted through allowable costs through the ARPA funds, and this project has brought out a lot of valuable input on how we would best serve our tribal members. And at this time, I'd like to invite Leo Daly to the discussion where they'll go over a few site locations for a new tribal administration building. The discussion has been much about location and where we think that would be the safest place, would be the most productive place, and would become one of the new central gathering places of the tribe and tribal business. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Leo Daly to introduce yourself and begin your presentation.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Christy, and I'm with Leo Daily. My background, a little bit about me, is I am an architect and I'm a structural engineer. And on this project, I am serving you as project manager. And with me here today is Doug Peters, who is an architect, and Zach Kleba, also an architect. And the three of us, as well as our team of engineers and landscape architects, civil engineers, a full team, have been working to program the tribal administration building. And as Victoria mentioned, we have narrowed down the focus of sites that we're looking at, as well as starting to look at single story as well as multi-story options, kind of in a block and stack diagram is what we call them. And we just wanted to share today where we are and can give some of the pros and cons that the group is considering with the locations. And at the end of this, we encourage conversation amongst yourself and with others. And if you have any feedback or questions, please direct those back through Victoria or Ron Knorr, who's here on the line as well. And we, we'll certainly take that into discussion and consideration. And everybody's input is valuable and appreciated. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Doug and Zach to share some graphics and kind of talk through where we are.
Okay. And one question, Brandon, I don't see a share button on my screen. Wondering how I would share my screen. Or if you can give me permission. Very good. Got it now. Thank you. Okay. Can anyone see my screen? Not yet. Okay.
It flashed for just a moment, Doug.
Okay.
We are seeing
I'm seeing it
your
now.
screen now. It's your full
Okay.
screen.
You can see the site diagram?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not in presentation mode, but we can see it.
Okay. I apologize. Let's see. How do I get it in? Okay. Oh, then I can just go ahead and, yeah. All right. Here we go. Okay. Presentation mode up. You see that? Okay. Very good. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Sorry for the delay there. Okay. As Christy mentioned, we wanted to run through this morning just a bit of our process of the programming effort we've been going through. And currently we've programmed needs of approximately 48,000 square feet and a couple hundred cars that need to park. And so when we think of different sites around the community that were being considered, we wanted to do a graphic test fit of what size of area that that kind of coverage could work in a 1 and 2 and even 3-story concept, and what kind of footprint that would yield on the sites that were being discussed. And then we applied those to 3 sites in the community for discussion, and those were a site on the Ho-Chunk 2.0 site, a hilltop site that is B there, I should say A, that you see on the screen up at the north end of town is the 2.0 site. B is coming in on Highway 75 near the ball fields and Educare on the hilltop site. And then C, what we're calling the South Blackhawk site, it would be the block directly to the south of the current Blackhawk Center. We took the program and did a demonstration layout then of what a 1-story concept would be. Again, looking at all the departments and all the square footage all on one level with parking surrounding it. And this is a graphic that shows those. You can see the different colored departments and so forth. And certainly a 1-story concept takes the most footprint on a site. So this layout, testing it, it was about just over 4 acres to accomplish that. If we went to a 2-story concept, we're able to stack some of the office spaces and reduce the footprint of the site. Certain elements like the tribal council chambers, which is demonstrated here in the screen color, and a multi-purpose space and kitchen that would serve the community. That would be a larger square footage footprint, and it would be on the ground level, but the office spaces could be stacked and save some space. We could get it down. In this demonstration concept, it was down to about 3.2 acres. And then on a more concentrated, condensed, densified site, we could also look at stacking up to 3 stories of office space that could make a much more dense floor plan and save some additional site space. The demonstration that we did on that got us down to closer to 3 acres, still needing significant site for parking and for the main footprint of the building, but again, saving some square footage. The sites then we considered, first I'll talk about the Ho-Chunk 2.0 site. And we wanted to just share some pros and cons that were discussed that we see on those sites. So certainly with the 2.0 site, it's some positives are that it's right on Highway 77. There's great visibility to it. It would be a very prominent site with an opportunity to kind of be a new gateway to the north end of town. That site is pre-graded and there's infrastructure in place, streets are in place, so that's a plus. And there would be a very easy, good pedestrian access from planned senior housing that's being planned in that area. It's a relatively flat site, so very workable as well. That saves on site costs. Some of the cons for that site, though, is it is more removed from the center of town and makes it difficult to walk there from a pedestrian point of view. And then what you see demonstrated again in yellow, that represents kind of, laid over the aerial photo, what the one-story test fit concept looked like, that 4.1 acres. If we came down to a 2-story and then even a 3-story, those are the pink and the dashed red lines as well. So you can see that as we start to build up, we can start to bring the site in. And I will mention too, these are very preliminary studies. So there will be much more definition going on. But to give you a relative idea, we thought these graphics would be helpful. And then so at the 2.0 site, this is just a view if we're coming southbound on 77, heading into town. You get a sense of what the buildings could look like, the visibility that they could have right off of the highway. And this is an elevated view looking down where north is to the top, and this is southbound 77 coming in. Here you see Ho Chunk 1.0, and then the 2.0 site here, and where that building, for example, could lie and face the road and be very prominent there. The second site that we looked up at was the Hilltop site. And again, this is the site, beautiful Hilltop site across from the ball fields and the Educare facility across 75. It's located, again, right off 75. It has very good visibility. It'd be possible to be very prominent on that hill. And a great symbol for the community and a great destination for the community. It does, in that way, in that location, provide an opportunity to be kind of a new gateway facility to welcome people to the community from the east. One advantage also is that to the top of the screen, you see Highway 30 from the north, and this site could have dual access potentially from 75 on the south and then from 30 on the north. And it also is a large site, so there would be flexibility of how we place this on site, and there would be room for future growth and development on the site as well. Some of the cons for this site, we thought, well, it is more removed from the center of town and much less walkable to this site. It would be much easier to come here by car. And also because of the distance from the road, while it's a benefit to be able to access from 30 and 75, there would be additional cost to, on this particular site development, if this site was chosen to run roads to the building from the highways. And then there would be additional costs foreseen for extending utilities to the site, maybe. And it is a hilly site, so there would be additional costs in terms of grading the site to prepare it for a building pad, and likely retaining walls to hold back dirt as we deal with the topography around it. Looking at that, here's a visual where if we were coming in on 75, heading in towards the hospital, for example, on the roundabout up ahead, you can see how the building could be nested into the Hilltop site and have a great appearance there. If you're going the opposite direction, heading away from the hospital and the center of town, heading out on 75, you can see the Hilltop site there and the prominence it could have there. The last site we considered was, I'm calling it the South Blackhawk site. Here you see the existing Blackhawk Center, and it's the block directly to the south. And for this one in particular, we overlaid a couple different lines. Again, you can see the 4.1 acre for a 1-story on the yellow. That would cover the whole site. 3.2 in the pink for a 2-story building, and then we did some specific study on this site to see how could we work around the existing water treatment plant. And that's why the red line is a little more irregular, to keep those elements in place and work around it and accomplish a 3-acre site. The advantages to this site certainly are that it's on Highway 77. It's got great pedestrian access. It's right in the center of activity of town. It's a very, historic and familiar site for the community. It's very comfortable, familiar, and it's a relatively flat site. The disadvantages of this site would be, certainly there'd be acquisition of properties that would need to take place. The facilities here on the southwest or southeast corner, playground and the park area, it displaces those existing buildings, and it's assumed there would be additional building relocation costs or considerations for that are a question we have. And then we would need to also work around and possibly modify some of the infrastructure for the existing water treatment facility that's here, and this mound here in the fenced area. But the concept would work to be able to, as in the 3-story concept we showed, to build a building towards the street here that's up to a 3-story building, and then use the remainder of the site to park on and avoid as much as possible the water lines that are tied to the water treatment plant. So that's actually a very possible direction for this site as well. Here is this is a little more difficult view because there's not a lot of context to the existing buildings around. But if we were on the highway, you can see it would be a taller building, a 2 to 3-story building here in the foreground if we're looking north. And this is a sketch line around where the existing Blackhawk Center is beyond. And if we kind of raised up from an aerial view looking to the south here, you can see this is where the existing Blackhawk Center is here, and how that building could sit towards the street as a taller building in the center of town, and then use the remainder of the site for parking, working around the existing water treatment facility. And that is the extent of the slides.
Doug, for that overview. Yep. Thank you, Doug, for that presentation. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
You're welcome.
I'd like to open it up and invite the tribal council to comment on the site discussion, site select. Okay, well, while we're thinking of that, I'll start. I'll just make a couple comments then. I said last week to one of my colleagues, I said, wherever we have it, it's say that and then start telling about which one's our favorite. So I guess what I'm saying is I would be happy and satisfied with whatever one the council decides. I know it's going to be a beautiful. The number 1 site in the Ho Chunk Village, I would I see that as residential and up and coming, so I'm fine with it not I think the community hasn't been viewing 2.0 as central, or even maybe where the tribal governments. So I've heard that feedback, and I the second one with the prominent hilltop site. What I like about that is moving away from the tracks. That's one of the biggest, that has become one of the nicest reasons to move away from the tracks. I know we've talked about, Isaac has shared with us the mitigation plan for when trains derail, and the mitigation plan for when trains with like oil or different other fossil fuels, when they're transported, and the things that go along with that. So that was a learning point for me, because I didn't really realize that it was such a risk to be so close to the tracks. And so if we ever had a chance to move away from the tracks, I would be in support of that. That's I also like that site because of the land. It gives an opportunity for the organization to grow and put something else up there that would complement the tribal operation. The part that I'm concerned about with the hilltop is, I guess, weather. And then when I said that, then you guys said drop the building. I'm like, no, don't drop the building, because then that takes it away from the awesome hill types. The third site at the baseball field, I think that one's just fine too, but it brings me back to the track discussion, and be nice to get away from the railroad tracks. And we've heard that it's a floodplain in that area, so there's been some discussion about building it up with dirt, and I think anything's possible. So that's just my feedback. I want to say something positive about all the three sites, and thank you. Anybody else like to comment?
I will.
Lorelei?
We've had, the tribal membership should know, we've had a couple of meetings discussing these sites with Leo Daly. One of the concerns on the south of the Blackhawk Center is the millions of dollars. If we were to put it south of the Blackhawk Center, it's going to be millions of dollars to move that water treatment facility, which we do not have. So that's a major factor. And then the hilltop site, it's going to be more money than we have because of the range up there, the topography. There's going to have to be a lot of dirt work, and also there's going to have to be infrastructure extended into there for water, sewer, energy. And that's going to be more than what we have money for. So the one site that takes less amount of money would be at the 2.0. And I'm just looking at cost and what we have to build with. So those are my comments about what we understand the cost will be. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorelei.
Madam Chair,
Kenny.
I guess I would say that my decision would be that we not have it by the railroad tracks. Other than that, I wouldn't care which site we picked, either the 2.0 or on the hilltop there. I think I just want to say that I'm not for building over where the water plant is, regardless of how simple the cost may be versus the other two. That train coming through here is just one terrible nuisance. I know, I live right along the railroad tracks. So I'm against the one here in town. I'm open to the other two.
Thanks, Kenny. Julie.
It just hit me how big this building is going to be. Looking at that yellow lines, it's twice the size as the one we're sitting in today. So that is good, and that's going to be amazing. considering the swimming pool, much room the swimming pool is, it takes up office. I was kind of thinking about that. I didn't realize how big this building is going to be. If I'm correct, the yellow lines on this design down here, but at the old south of here. So that really, I really like that. I'm impressed with that. I guess I would like to see it on the hilltop, but like I said, either way, you know, down at 2.0, you know, it's Winnebago land and it always will be, and I always support that. And then one thing I thought about is our college being up there on that hill too, and developing that area, and there was talks of dormitories up there, so I think it would be good looking, you know, sitting up on those hills next to our college area and stuff. And another walk-in venue, you know, for people, and more development. Eventually we're going to have to develop more, you know. With our housing shortage, you know, I'm still waiting for us to make a move for our housing shortage for our people, so they can come home and work at our businesses, our hospitals, but housing is a problem for that. So I'm anxiously waiting for the tribe to start working on that, another housing plan for our people. But it all looks good, and it'll come together. Can't wait for that day. Thank you.
Thanks, Coley. Doug, did you want to make a comment? I see some hand raised.
Yes, yeah, thank you. One thing I wanted to clarify is that with the further study since we last met on the South Blackhawk site, is that we can avoid replacing the water treatment facility. It appears that the building block we're showing here on this site, and I just offer that as a point of clarification, that this building footprint is entirely out of the way of the water treatment facility. Now it required pulling it towards the street and making it a taller, denser building, but I wanted to clarify that this, from what we understand currently, and Ron, I would open any thoughts that you have and further knowledge on the site that maybe we don't know yet, but this is away from all the water lines, all the infrastructure lines that circulate at the water treatment facility. So I just wanted to clarify, this is out of that realm, and we feel like this could be built there, and then parking work around the existing infrastructure. That's all I wanted to note. We previously thought that we would have to remove that facility, and I don't believe we would, to build that building here. Thank you.
Yeah, I did. The group, the Leo Daily group, sent out a little just a draft of the presentation. I think it was last Wednesday, I believe it was, for what they had planned to show everybody today. And they just had the 2.0 site and the Hilltop site to the east of town were just the only two that were on there. And I knew there had been some discussion. Dusty had brought it up a couple of times about, you know, the possibility of, you know, trying to stay close into the center of town. And I knew that there was some concern about the water treatment plant and where the infrastructure is. You know, the wells that are over on the south side, and then we've got some water mains running, you know, through that site that you guys have you know tried to stay away from. So I called Christy on Thursday morning, I think it was, and just asked her if we could at least show how this in-town site, the Blackhawk South site, you know, how it could potentially work. And I'm not advocating for that site, but I'm not advocating for any of the sites actually. I don't have one favorite over the other, I guess, and it you know, you guys need to decide. But I just wanted to make some clarifications that if there was a big push from the community and community members to try and keep it, you know, at a central location and still in town and close to where it is now, that it does look like the footprint would probably work there. It's in a floodplain, but it's in a flood fringe. If we had to raise the ball fields up, let's just say 2 or 2.5 feet, we probably would get, you know, close to the 100-year flood elevation, you know, for parking area, which, you know, that's doable. It costs money to do that. But I was actually kind of impressed when just a few minutes ago when Doug was clicking through these, and it looks like somebody spent maybe their weekend or quite a bit of time working on that in-town site. Was impressed to see what you guys did on that site. But it looks like, you know, if we're just going to look at, you know, getting the most bang for our buck, you know, with the dollars that we have versus how much building we're going to be able to build, you know, that the 2.0 site is, you know, that's pretty much, I mean, it's all graded, and, you know, there's even, you know, the new pavings in there. The site out east of town, you know, that's a beautiful site also. It's going to cost, you know, a little bit more. It's going to cost more money, you know, to grade it and retaining wall it and get utilities and stuff in there. But it looks like all three of those sites could work, in my opinion. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ron. There are more thoughts on and feedback on the 3 sites? Eric?
I would. Can you hear me? Yeah. There's when we look at north of town, as I said before, that's near a residential area, and 2 years ago that was the maps for that land was all housing. There was no room for a boys and girls club and or a office building. So for those to just that area to clear out with those houses just is surprising. So I don't know where the rest of those houses are going to be. We put all these big buildings in that area. So I would still like to stick with the south of the Blackhawk site, especially since we don't have to move the water treatment plant. There's no residential areas back here. No, we have the 3/4-way house that's going to be there. That's going to be mostly parking in the back. And one thing I noticed about those drawings that you guys pulled up, you took away from around the edges, the main road. I understand that would be a sidewalk. Yeah, along the side with the north side towards the Blackhawk building, you didn't put a sidewalk in there, and that was about 15 feet from the edge there. And going to the south road of that site, that was kind of far away from there as well. And we could move the building closer to the back side of the building, a little bit closer to water treatment plant. And as it's been said that you look at the size of the Blackhawk building on that picture, that slide you pulled up, from what the tribal council operates in now, and just that first floor, that footprint of that building, it's almost twice as big as what we're working with now. Then if we put 2 or 3 floors on there, that would be more than enough to get done what we need to have done. The land is level. There's already been buildings here, or at that site where the old Mary Mart used to be. And the senior center and the Boys and Girls Club. The Boys and Girls Club's getting ready to go moving next year as well. And so I think that would be an easy place, because especially if we give them part of this building and the acquisition of properties, that should be pretty easy to get that site. And the last thing is that it's been said that's going to cost millions of dollars that we don't have, but I know the tribal portfolio has millions upon millions of dollars that we could access. It would just take all of our signatures. And when it comes to a tribal building, it's going to benefit our people, not just today, but tomorrow, the generations after us. I think that would be money well spent right there. Even if we had to go in 5, maybe even more than that, millions of dollars. Especially just because it's for the tribe. And so the first site would be the South Blackhawk site right next to the Blackhawk Center. That and also in that drawing that you guys that picture you pulled up, when you didn't go all the way back to the back of the ball fields or towards the road, and so that's a couple 100 feet that could have been in that slide used for parking. I don't know how you guys go about making the lines in the slides to show that, but there was room that was still that could be used for parking. So I just like to say that much on the Blackhawk site, and then my second choice would be the hillside, because it does I don't see it looking the way the slide looks, because it would just make more sense to push dirt off the top and onto the side to level it out, instead of gouging out half that hillside and finding a place for that dirt. So it would just, I like I said, the size of that slide of the hill, the hillside, yeah, I think it would just be easier to push the dirt from the top of the hill down towards the northwest side. Now it would just even itself out. It would not only be moving it to flatten it, but it would also be filling in the side of the hill as well. So with that said, thank you guys. Thank you all for coming over here today and bringing this to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, for that feedback. Do we have any further comments on the 3 sites as presented?
Can't hardly hear you, Victoria.
Sorry about that, Louis. Do we have any further comments on the 3 sites as presented?
I think engineering wise, the site north of town is the best. But I don't like it when we put that area together for a new residential area. I think we should I wouldn't rate that site very high. I wouldn't rate the town site very high either. With the hilltop, I'm worried about my deer herd. It's no harder getting up there than just going to Luther Road in the present day. The only difference would be that during the winter, the gravel trucks and the snow trucks would get there more often. Wouldn't be much trouble. Is there a swimming pool in there? Yeah, if there is, take it out. We have 2 or 3 stories. I'd like to see final design on entry into there that are long-term growth patterns. That whole 40 acres north of Highway 30 has to be considered, because we're going to expand, and I think we're going to expand eastward from town. Might be well to design a road going from north to south through and around that project. That if there's a whole area we haven't considered for planning, and we need to. Thank you.
Louis. So, thank you, council, that have made comments, and if there are any further comments, the opportunity is still open. Tribal members, we will also be seeking your input. The council had requested a community survey. I believe we'll be working with the data center to do a survey monkey, and for you to weigh in on where you'd like your new tribal building to be located, and we're going to use that guidance and pass the site selection by motion. We're hoping to get the Leo Daily team an answer by Friday so that they can move on to next steps with the project.
If we weren't able to agree with one of those sites, I would really like us to consider that chief lot that's just on the other side, the east side of the roundabout. There's I know it's a lower part of land, but it's access from both the south and the north and the east. Now, I don't know if the chief family would be interested in selling out, but the other comment I want to make, and I'm not at liberty to say where resources would come from. I know I'm not at liberty to say that, but I can see it down the road with other ventures that this tribe is taking.
The chief site, do you mean that site right over here across from the store and on the other side of Educare? Right over?
It's
Or,
here.
oh,
Carol's.
I see.
There again, you would require.
Okay, let's put that on the back of our minds and draw on it if we have to. Good point. Thank you, Kenny. Any further comments?
Have
Rona.
one. You know, we're talking about all these plans, and you know, I'm always thinking about money wise and what's best and best use of our resources. A new building is nice, and like I said before, you know, I'm not looking for anything elaborate or whatnot. I just want to make sure that all our resources are in one central area. So in picking a site, the site that will cost us less money, the building that will cost us less money is what I would go for. But also, you know, with the Survey Monkey, we'll know by community vote of, you know, what they would like to see. I'm pretty much open to everything, all the sites. They're all pretty sites. It's just, you know, money-wise, what can we make that will provide all the services to our community at the least amount, so that we can use those resources for other things that our people need. Thank you.
Thank you, Rona. Isaac?
I think we should build it down a river. No. That way we can see who all comes and goes from the river. No, I would, I was kind of looking at this here. I wanted to say thanks, Doug, and the rest of the Leo Daily team for putting this together and being patient with us. If we was to go to that hilltop, that's we said we were going to put a senior citizens center up there one time, or a senior citizens home, old folks home up there. And then that kind of fell to the wayside. And then with the 2.0, the putting commercial grade buildings right with residential, that's kind of tricky. And then putting it in town around the water treatment plant. There's another site that I was looking at, and I don't know how the community would feel, but I just put it out there. It was back where those, I believe it was Andersons that owned them grain bins. They were right right down north of the teachridge. There's two big slabs up there. But if you was to put it there, you can do a little bit of dirt work and expand that, and tie that into what the college is trying to do. And then that would tie into what the Old Trunk Village is trying to do. And then it would kind of centralize it and put this building back into the town. So that's an area that I think one of the things that we got to keep in mind as we're looking at different sites and looking at these areas is that dirt is movable. You can move dirt and level it off. And then that would tie into what over the hill there as town kind of moves towards BIA 3 out there, that HCI owns that 20 acres out there or whatever, and they were talking about developing that. So it would kind of tie everything in together if we was able to go back to that spot over behind, I think it's just north of the teachridge there. I was looking at that and out in that field there a little bit, it would just be dirt work. And then the other thing is if you look at the dirt work that we're talking about, that dirt work could be possibly done by our own roads department. So that would keep money within the tribe. It would just put it into another department. Just trying to look at different ways of utilizing the tools that we have here in town. And then far as infrastructure, you have some mains that run there, you have some sewer lines that run there, so the cost wouldn't be very high to run some water and sewer lines, and the electric would already be there. So there's the in-town site, the 2.0 site, and then the Top Hill site. But I'm proposing the other fourth site that would lock into some of the stuff that the college is doing. We could build it would just mainly be a lot of dirt work, but that could go to the roads department. If you look at it from Google Maps, there's two big slabs of concrete that would obviously be tore up and regraded, but that's where it would be. I don't remember what the name of that street is. I was kind of looking at that as trying to kind of fit that into everybody's plan. I believe it is, it's right on the corner of Wilson Street, but that would kind of be up there kind of by over by Bobby Dew's place over there, but it would kind of extend out into that field, and then it would kind of hook into like Esterville and stuff. But oh, there you go, Garen's on it today. Ooh. So that's where I was kind of looking at, but zoom out a little bit, Garen. And then you could go to the east of that, which is that light tan section over there. So that would put it over there. And then if you zoom farther out, that ties into where the plans that I've seen before was talking about that area coming down after the 2.0 and then the next 80 over. That would tie that all in. Then if you zoom out farther, that would tie in that dirt work that's going to be done over there by where they planted that Indian corn. So moving, kind of pushing town towards the east a little bit, that would kind of match up. That would get us away from the railroad tracks. The railroad tracks, and then that kind of puts you down in a little valley a little bit, to where you wouldn't really pick a lot of wind up or anything. You wouldn't have a big furnace bill or anything because you'd kind of be down in that little area. Otherwise, the other thing is if we go clear to the top of that hill there's a area right across from, I believe, Vicky and Griggs. That's another site there. And then Louis could just drive right down the road and go right to work then. So, be in walking distance for him. Get him a little scooter, he could cruise right over there. But I was thinking of that site there because you could hook right onto the town's water and sewer right there. And then gravity fed from that building, however many chung edges or restrooms that are going to be in there, gravity fed, that's going to feed everything down to the pump station down there behind Fritz's old place. So I just wanted to throw that out there though. But
Where's that spot used in by?
have to figure out that trick.
Troy, can I add to that?
Yeah.
When we first started this a couple months ago, we looked at several sites other than the three that we've got up on the board right now that they're presenting on. And one of the sites was the site that Isaac's referring to, right? I think it's the general area. And one of the sites, or that site was, it would be like just up, I'm not sure where Bobby Dew lives, but I know like where Zach Hansen lives, just up to the east of that, just kind of off the end of, I don't know what street that is, but just out into that 80 acres, I think, just up past where Anderson's, used to have those grain storage facilities up there. And Doug, do you or Christy remember why that got crossed off? Was there concern about too much traffic winding up in that residential area? Was that maybe one of the issues? And then I think the other issue was, I think there was a 10-acre lease that was issued to Little Priest right up, just off the east edge of, what's currently developed right now. You remember what else we had on that site for why we kind of backed off on that site?
I think, Ron, so the traffic through the neighborhood was a big concern. Just a question was, is it the ease of getting to it around the college, if you were to avoid access through the residential area and you came from the south, it would bring a lot of traffic through by the college, and it was a question as to how would that affect the college's growth as well, and the visibility of both visibility and access issues, I think, were the question, Ron.
Yeah.
As well as safety and noise with the residential area. Safety in the residential area.
If the council's interested in revisiting that site, we could, probably take a look at what we've done so far up on that site, and maybe present that site again, if that's what the council wants to do. It kind of, it mixes in with Little Priest real close, but and then there's that topography for that site. It drops off if you start going to the east on that site. There's kind of a little shelf, that's just up where those grain tanks were, and then just east of that, there's a pretty good shelf up there, and that's why we kind of considered that initially. But then it kind of starts dropping down, I believe, as you go to the east.
And see where it falls, and if it's the top one, then we could do what you guys are asking. Does that sound good, to make sure everyone's input's included? Kenny, we can even add that chief site and make sure that people weigh in if that looks like a good site. And although all the research hasn't been done on complete like these other ones, I think it's all thoughts are on the table. So council, would anyone like to weigh in on the three options presented, Louis, or the new ones presented?
in Pale Victoria. Traffic has always been a problem for the college. We have to do something to solve that problem. We as tribal people can't be separating out the college and the tribal building. It'd be a good idea to make them work together and find a plan, put together a plan that will handle the traffic flow problem for the college and the tribal building. To treat them as separate entities, not have them planned together, is a recipe for failure. And I think that if we're going to work with the college, we have to include them in our planning. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis. Christy? Is that her name?
I just wanted to excuse myself. I have another meeting at 10 o'clock that I need to run to.
Okay.
So thank you. Thank you for the tribal council's time. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks, Christy.
Thanks, Chrissy.
Eric has a comment.
Yes, I would agree with Councilman Smith's vision on that area. That would really tie the east side of our community together up there. We have dead end roads, dead end road up there. We have a lot of potential in that area, and tying in with the college. I think that would probably be my third choice to look into that and look more into Councilman Smith's view on that area. You know, he's what you guys didn't get to see was what he was talking about in how to bring that part of our community together up there, as in putting roads, a little bit of dirt work, and I think that'd be a real possibility. So if you could, Ron, come down and get with Councilman Smith and expand on that idea a little bit more and get that ready to be brought up on a drawing board. Thank you.
Okay, so is there any more council feedback on these sites? Okay, so from Isaac.
I just got real quick. Garen, can you pull that back up once?
Would you like me to shut my screen down and share your screen, or?
I don't know if you can draw on there. We build everything with dead ends. You know what I mean? It makes it hard for the ambulance to turn.
So we saw a couple more sites this morning, and we have 3 that were presented by Leo Daly. So we will follow up with the tribal members with the community survey and see what we can pull together in response by Friday. So please be looking for that.
Madam Chair, is there a survey out?
No, we were going to do this presentation, and then we were going to put out a survey in the same way we did before through the internet, and then we did the senior surveys with their lunches.
Okay.
And it might not capture the whole entire membership, but it'll capture a sampling on what we need to get us going.
So if we did go up there to that site I was talking about, there's enough room up there to keep it one level. You know what I mean? Then there's no cost for elevator. There's no need for, we would have that all one level. It'd make it easier for handicapped people, wheelchairs to get in there. It's the tribal building. That's one of the things we have here. The finance store is the only way that somebody can access that with a wheelchair. So it would leave that, and then it ties into the 2.0. It ties into that next 80 acres over there beside that comes in, ties into that 10 acres down below the hill there. So then you kind of just, you know.
That road you drew would extend on out north.
Yep.
Future.
Yeah, you just have to cross that creek, and then what I'm thinking is one of the things that's always never brought up in our meetings is planning and zoning. So when you get into this 911 address stuff, now we have our roads lined up with Ho Chunk Village Roads 2.0. We have them lined up with the village roads, and then we have that road extends clear through. It's all one road, you know.
The college wanted to expand.
It would be the heart of Tafiti.
That's why we wanted that.
Can't hear you, Andy.
I was just saying, if we went with that place up by the college, we could line all these roads up to match up the 2.0, the Ho Chunk Village, and then be able to match up some of the roads with the village roads already. So they would all be named one street, so we wouldn't end up with a big 911 addressing problem, kind of like what we're in now.
I think all these are have good pros and cons to every single one of these sites. So thank you, Council, for all your thought into this, and as well as our Leo Daily team. We're going to hear more about the site that Isaac's been talking about, but the last time we talked about it, it didn't make it to the top 3 because of the college's expansion plans and the residential component. But if we need to put more thought into that, we'll put it on the survey and see if some of those things could be kind of massaged in some way. So, so any further comments? Is the council comfortable with those 5 sites we're going to put in the survey, the 3 that we heard from the presentation, as well as the chief? What do you want to call that? Chief land, or is there a better way I can note that? Chief property. And then the LPTC adjacent site, should we call it that? Or what would you like to call it?
Yeah.
Just so that people could like where we're talking about, or
Grain bins.
put by grain bins, or how should I note it? North of Little Creek. Okay, say north of Little Creek. Okay.
On that chief property there, that might be pretty easy to answer right away, because there's only 2 people left on that can make that decision, and that's Don McCauley and Barb. All the rest of the chief family are gone, except the offspring. So the property is in really those 2 people. If one of them says no, that eliminates that site right off the bat.
Okay. So do you think they would be upset if we put that on there before?
I would want to talk to one or the other. If they both say yes, I would leave it on this possible site selection. If one of them says no, I'd be the first one to tell you that that's not in play.
Okay. So if you could find that out.
They may know already.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. So, we'll get that. Well, once we have, I guess if you could get an answer so we can, because today I wanted to let Brittany know the 3 sites, and then she could design.
I could find out.
Okay.
Real quick.
All right. Are we ready to move on to the next portion of the agenda? All right. The next portion is we have a planning department resolution. I believe that would be 22-74. And then it's a Native American Grave Protection Consultation and Documentation Grant for FY22. So do we have a motion to adopt resolution 22-74?
74?
I think that's the next number. I
Yeah.
just picked it off of the our last ratification. So
Make that motion.
we have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0.
And that's resolution what?
22-74. Our next item is the construction management bid approval for Big Bear Park box culverts. Ron?
We're moving forward on the repairs that FEMA's going to reimburse us on for the low water crossing down just at the edge of Big Bear Park. And we advertised 3 consecutive weeks in the Sioux City Journal for this project. It's the replacement of the box culverts, and it's actually replacing the box culverts that are there with box culverts basically right on top of the existing box culverts that are buried. So we're raising the grade up about 7 feet as we go through there, and that qualifies as a replacement for FEMA funds. We had a bid opening on Friday morning at 11 o'clock and received bids from 4 different contractors. Dale Hams Construction, HCI Construction, Herbst Construction, and Steve Harris Construction. These are all qualified contractors capable of either setting or building the replacement of the box culverts. The way that I set the bid form up was the contractors had the option to provide precast box culverts or to cast in place, meaning to basically form and pour the culverts right down in place on site. And we had bids from all 4 contractors, kind of a variation of bids. The HCI construction bid was, I think it was $237,000 something. I think you guys have that information. It's $237,961.00. 237. HCI construction.
What more? They just bid on the
It's
top one.
the bottom bid on the HCI bid. $237,961.
Okay. So with
I'd
that,
like to
Ron,
make a motion that we go with HCI Construction.
we have a motion by Kenny to select HCI Construction for the Big Bear Park Low Water Crossing Improvements 2022. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Lorelei. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Discussion?
Yeah. I just got a quick question. Hey, Ron, what's the time frame on this?
Well, they want to get started right away. So I think HCI is usually pretty flexible about, getting contracts signed. There's a 100% payment performance bond that's required. So they need to show us liability insurance, and then they've got to get the payment performance bond from their bonding company. So they want to start like within the next 10 days.
I don't want to messing up my mushroom season, so.
Your what?
My mushroom picking season.
You cut him off guard.
They want to get started right away, and could, maybe mention to them not to be picking any mushrooms down there. So Isaac's gonna be down there.
Yours.
I'll get the contract drafted up and, get it presented or get it brought in for signature.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Are there any further comments? Objection to the motion?
Jack.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or signify by raising your hand. Lorelei, Kenny, Foley, Louis, Isaac, opposed. Brian, opposed. 1. Eric, abstentions. Motion carried. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 1, 0.
Oh, Tori, I have a question, comment.
Foley.
Question, Ron. Looks like Steve Harris was the highest bid at 272. H size 237. How much money do we have, and where's the balance of those funds going to go to, or what's going on?
Well, I don't have all the line items that for FEMA right in front of me, but I do know there was about $400,000 for the culvert replacements, Tully. So we're way under the original numbers that we put together. And the numbers that we put together, that totaled, I think it was $2.2 million. That was myself and Brenda from BIA helped and Shane from BIA helped. And that's how we came up with, all the line items that came up to about $2.2 million. We are going to be way under the $2.2 million. And on the box culverts, like I said, I think we had about $400,000 just in that line item. We are going to be significantly less. And we only get reimbursed from FEMA for, what basically the costs that, that we submit to them. So if we only spend $1.5 million and we have $2.2 million approved, we don't get that extra $700,000. We only get reimbursed for what we need to spend. That answer your question, Coley?
Yeah.
Thanks, Ron. Kenny.
So Ron, is there room for add-ons to this project with that kind of distance between?
There is, and it's a good thing that you brought that up, because one of the items that I think I'm probably going to bring to you, we didn't have, I don't think we had paving all the way across there. We had, some smaller rock on top of the big riprap that we've hauled in. And I think it would even kind of knit the thing together a little bit better, even if we had some concrete paving, maybe 300 or 350 foot of paving across the top. So that's my thought of, what we could add to this and still be under. Was there something else you were thinking, Kenny? Yeah.
Okay. So Eric and I were just sidebarring over here. So FEMA will reimburse for up to, was it 500,000 or 400,000 in something?
The total project was 2.2 something. The culverts were about 400. Yeah.
I would have paid project. Everybody bid so low that it's nice. Cost Ron came in and these top of it bid on that. So with the bells and we could, I mean,
I'm just trying to get one. Hey Ron, we were just sidebarring again, and because FEMA's reimbursing this, and because the tribe collects tax on these projects, we were just saying that, you know, if we would have put all the bells and whistles on there, would that, I guess, is there a fine balance between what would get approved and what our need is? I guess what I'm trying to say is there any way that we could have, if we were modest, but we're seeing that we are approved for more reimbursement, and we're just leaving money on the table that they're not going to reimburse us and they'll spend it somewhere else? Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, and I think that's what Kenny was asking too. Is I think that we just need to be careful that we don't add a part or a component to the project that's not related to replacement of what was there for a low water crossing. I mean, we can't be. I don't think we can plant trees or put stoplights up or things like that. But I think it needs to be. It needs to be anything we add to it related to the actual use of that low water crossing. So is there anything that that's maybe discussed that maybe we should consider that we could look at, because there's probably going to be some money there.
Quality of materials.
So some paving, I guess, is the thing that I've been thinking about also.
Materials.
The comment shared, we're using high quality materials. So if these projects come in over budget, will FEMA still reimburse them if it's within the threshold that they approve for reimbursement?
Yes.
And we say we want you guys to use top of the line materials because we don't want to. We want to make sure that we've got good quality with this reimbursable opportunity, that we just get our maximum benefit and not use generic materials like maybe we would have if we're just trying to pull a project together.
Golden culverts.
Golden culverts.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Why are we paying for the lowest bidder when there's more money and pay for mobilization if we're going to be reimbursed anyway? So it's a give and take point of view on that for the reimbursement. That's all I'm saying.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you.
can I answer that?
Yep.
I didn't make my motion on who was the lowest bidder. I made my motion on which company is ours and who's going to make the money.
So
I could add to that. I think I've got a feeling where this is going. I know that I put that bid form together, and the top item is for precast boxes, and precast boxes are several months out for production. And that was one of the main reasons that the other two options are they're cast in place type options, concrete cast in place options. And I seriously do not believe that the precast boxes are higher quality and are going to last any longer or are going to be more efficient or more effective than the cast in place. So I don't think we're going to gain anything by spending more money and putting precast boxes in there. The precast boxes, there's such a demand for them right now. From especially with I think the infrastructure monies that are out. There's that when I talked to the salesperson over at Hancock over in Lake, Iowa, that I think they're the closest precast dealer. He said that the rebar, to try and get the rebar bent and fabricated, for their precast boxes were we're a couple of months out, and he said that they're so far behind that it was going to be an issue, trying to get them done. And the site cast, and that's why I added the two other options, was for the cast in place, was because we could get started on it right away. And I think, just based on from what I understand, how much water's up in Lewis and Clark and Oahe and Garrison and up there, there's not a lot of water up there. So I think it's probably not likely that we're going to have water, coming down through that chute, like we do typically in the spring. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I mean, anything's possible, but there's just not a lot of water in storage right now up above us. So that was one of the advantages that I felt, that if we cast those in place, that, we can get started right away and then not have to wait, for most of the summer for precast boxes. And I do not believe that the precast boxes are superior to the cast in place construction.
Tori, I got another question. Sorry. Sorry, Ron. Can you explain to me why on the bid form on the top it has Winnebago Tribe shall perform all grading and backfill, and there's some numbers in some of these bids and nothing in the others? Like one for HCI has 0. It goes into construction tax and total bid on those. Winnebago Tribe shall perform all grading and backfill. What is up with that?
Hey, Coley, they can't hear you.
Can't hear me. Ron, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think, were you asking me why some of the line items aren't filled out, Coley?
Yeah, especially the Winnebago Tribe shall perform all grading and backfill.
Well, right now Jason's down there. He's getting all the dirt off the top of the box that's down there right now. And we hauled all the riprap down there. So the riprap's going to go, alongside these new boxes and all the way up to the top of them once they're in place. And I guess we've got a couple of brand new trucks, and I guess we want to try and perform as much work as we can with our own people. Back to the bid form itself, though. Let me open that up here. The like HCI did not, the way that they're set up, you see that the top one is for the precast units. See where it says precast on number 2 at the very top, and they didn't bid on any of that. But a lot of times the way these are set up is that if you have another option, and that's why I'm called alternate bid number 1 and alternate bid number 2. So those are alternates if you choose not to bid it precast. Alternate bid number 1 and alternate bid number 2 are actually site cast, or like poured in place type concrete. Instead of coming in on a truck like the culverts and the top would be. No, this is kind of out of the ordinary. We don't normally see it this way, but I wanted to give the contractor some options to bid it. If they wanted to have precast, I knew that was going to be expensive, and it was going to take a long time to get them, because like I said, I talked to the guy at Hancock over in Lake Iowa. He said it was going to take a while to get them. So I gave the contractors the option to bid alternate number 1 or alternate number 2. So any of the 3 of those would be for our consideration.
Well, I just want to, so no, then right now the vote is the HCI Construction, and they're putting 10,765 into Winnebago Tribe's roads, and Steve Harris has 52,500 on that line item. Could have went to Winnebago Tribe roads, correct?
Housing authority.
No, roads is going to be doing the work, but it has nothing to do with these dollar amounts. Our tribal roads is monitoring, their time. So we're going to bill for our tribal roads' time above and beyond these amounts. And that's what the note reads, is that's the intent, is for that the Winnebago tribe shall perform all grading and backfill. And we're gonna bill that to FEMA above and beyond this.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, council, for all your feedback and suggestions on this project. I really like how we're engaged in the process, and so that's great.
HCI should get a dictionary so how to spell it.
You're on the board now. You can get on them. Okay, so that motion did pass 6-1-0. And we will, thank you, Ron. The next item was an addition under new business, and that is the request we received from Ciara Lee Frenchman and Charlize Francis Frenchman. And this is for a match request to attend an upcoming basketball tournament. A couple of them. We've got the 22 Ryan All West, as well as the Madness in March. And these girls are putting their plans in place and have raised some money. They have raised a total of, I think it was around $1,500. Let's see. Oh, 315? 315. So we have a match request of $315. Where'd you see that number, Mona? Rona?
It's on the front of the email. They're asking for the match of 315.
Was it 315 or 350?
315.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to approve a match for Ciara Lee Frenchman and Charlize Francis Frenchman in the amount of $315?
So moved.
We have a motion by Brian.
Seconded.
We have a second by Kenny. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried. Looks like 7-0-0. Old business, we have Gaming Commission interviews.
Madam Chair, I just put this on the agenda just so the council can be aware that the whole council should be in doing the interviews. And we're going to have 2 vacancies. One's going to be the chairman's, his term is expiring, and then there's another vacancy. So there'd be 2 vacancies that we would be interviewing for, but it should be the whole council.
Thank you, Lorelei. So we did advertise for that term that was going to expire in April, and I do believe we motioned to advertise for the one that was recently vacated. Do you want to do this at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we can get those. Well, I do believe we said advertised until filled, so we'll just capture what applicants have been received by that time.
Okay.
The next one is the general manager interviews. Lorelei was encouraging last week and got another email out requesting your feedback. Of that request, I believe we got 3 replies. So this will be last call for your top 3, Winnebago's general manager applicants that you would like to interview. If you recall, there was a packet of applicants that you received by email. Kenny, if you didn't get those, I'll make sure you get a copy of those. Oh, you did? Okay. And so we want to just move on that. We've had it acting for some time now, and we want to just make that permanent with the right candidate. So if you could get that to me ASAP, or perhaps if you didn't want to interview any of those, let me know that too. And so
I think the sooner the better that we get this done, because that bingo hall is going down big time. And I think this guy I'm selecting is the guy that can do something about it.
Okay.
This Mike.
Thank you, Kenny, for that support. So that's just a friendly reminder that there's been continued outreach on that, questions on what we're doing with that position, and so thank you, Lorelei.
Okay.
Under tribal council items, I'd like to provide an.
Or do you want to try speaking into my microphone that's there because you're still really quiet? I could hear Lorelei fine. Much better.
Okay, better.
Right.
Okay, the first item under tribal council items is the Oto encampment update. I'd like to first thank the tribal council for sending a delegation to the Oto encampment in Newkirk, Oklahoma. Councilman Eric Armel, myself, and our communications officer. And the first thing I guess I want to say is thank you to our friend Eric Payne and his whole winter encampment committee, who were excellent hosts and showed the utmost respect and hospitality to the Winnebago tribe, as well as the Ho-Chunk Nation. They accommodated us and provided hotel rooms. They provided a lovely program throughout the day. It was my second time going there, but last time I didn't go to the afternoon part of the dance, so I didn't know what to expect. And I told Eric, yeah, you don't have to get up there or nothing. And here they were just honoring the tribe, calling us up there. And so the whole intent of going there was a continuation of former Chairman White's leadership. And under Chairman White's leadership and former Chairman Donnie Child and some of our relatives in Wisconsin, they said we need to talk to each other, we need to learn from each other, and we need to renew those relationships. And so for the past 4 years, the 4 tribes have been the Ho-Chunks, the Ioways, the Ho-Chunks, and the Oto Missouris have been getting together, whether it's to have a meeting, go to a football game, dance with one another, pray with one another. We've been trying to do a lot of that. One of the things that the council was really helpful in was supporting us and giving some gifts. And so we took a couple blankets down there. Isaac was generous and donated a blanket for the veterans. It was a really nice Veterans Pendleton, so thank you, Isaac, for that. As well as we had a blanket in our stock. When we got down there, it was a learning experience, and there were protocols that I wasn't accustomed to, and that was involving the gore dance. And it was so beautiful and so powerful, and they called us up there, and we didn't know what to expect. They were putting these gifts, laying them out, and we were all dancing, and they handed Garen the gourd, and it was just rocking. It was rocking, guys. And then I was a little bit off my game because after they did something so nice, I was like, man, we should have brought the horse. I told these guys. When we were going down there, Isaac said, do you want to bring a horse? I'm like, no, but we should have brought the horse. That's how good they were to us. So next year, and so we took our gifts and combined them with Ho-Chunk Nation delegation, and we also bought some gifts that were in some of the stands. And we were able to put together our own giveaway, and not the way we would have done it. I think next year when we go, I would love if we could do bundles, like show them and do that exchange and how we do it. And when I was mentioning how they had us standing up there, and then they had this money, and then they handed it to us, and then I handed it to Eric, and Eric put it on the drum. So that happened about 2 times, did you say, Eric? And we did that, and that's 4 times, so that's in line. So I'm going to open it up and give it to Eric and then pass it to Garen, because they all had different experiences, different things said, but I just want to say it was an amazing, powerful experience to get together, to dance, to share a meal, and to just be amongst relatives. So I want to thank everybody for making the trip and all those that made it possible. Eric.
Yes, I'd like to say it was an honor and a privilege to go down there and partake in the relationship building operations that took place last weekend. And if anyone from down that way is watching, I'd like to say thank you. That was very comforting to know that the tribes are coming back together and getting along really good and understanding, building that communication. And so I also encourage any of our enrolled membership has time next year to go down there and experience that, to do so. very, very interesting, and the place down there, their casino is really, really nice. So with that, they did do a lot of thank you dances and honoring us, and they as they did that, they put money on, and the dancers would come around and put money on a blanket for us, and as they gave us that money, it was just kind of weird to be just given a handful of money to do with whatever we wanted, and to return that favor, we gave that back to the drum, because there was 3 drums, and that was pretty amazing to see it within itself, that all 3 drums sounded like one, all the singers sounded like one, and it was really amazing, and to know that everybody partook and recognized everyone from other tribes, whether it's a whole chunk or the Winnebago that went down there. So again, I would encourage anyone that has a chance next year to go down to do just that. I think you'll be entertained and you'll really like it. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Garen, did you want to comment on your experience?
Here, try and use this one.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the Tori and Dusty for representing the Winnebago tribe down there. They did an excellent job. They managed to get up and kind of tell them about how everything's going back here. And they gave us a portion of their agenda. I know that they had a long agenda that day, and it was really good to see the kind of the honoring of the tribes, both Winnebago tribe and the Ho-Chunk Nation. And on behalf of myself and stuff, when we first went down there, when Frank White and Jim Snow and the Ho-Chunk Renaissance, my brother Blue and Craig Cleveland went down there, they brought us a drum, and we brought that back. And so I just kind of let them know that the drum is still being used at the culture camps and at some of the events that they sing, when they're teaching the kids and stuff. So Ho-Chunk Renaissance is still utilizing that drum, and still a good thing. They even fed it last year, and they invited the council to come up to Ho-Chunk Renaissance, and so that's being done. And then the Ho-Chunk Nation, they donated to the Oto, Missouri tribe a 4-legged relative, a horse, and they really thought something of that. And then the Otos went up there, and the Ho-Chunk Nation, I was talking to Michelle Greendeer, and she said that the 4-legged relative is doing good. They kind of use it for like some trainings, and the kids use it for therapy and stuff like that. So there's kind of that building of the nations and stuff. So it's really good to see. And I managed to get some video and some pictures and stuff that I'll be sharing with the membership as well later on. So thank you.
Thanks, Garen. And I started trying to bring Garen with wherever we go, because there's an element of a feeling there that we want to capture. There's we all this technology now with video, and we can share that experience with all the tribal members. And so if anyone is wondering why I'm always inviting Garen, it's because he's been a really added value to sharing information. And the more we just make that part of our practice, then the people are always present wherever the council goes. So one thing I think I'll mention is one of the times we went up, and I might have been the Kiowa, Eric's right, they called us up there several times, but one of the times they had given me some cash, and I shared it with one of our tribal elders that had attended as some gas money, and I just thought that was the appropriate thing to do, was to give it away. And there was a gal there from our tribe, so help her with some gas.
Sorry,
So-
let me comment.
Holy.
Yes. Thank you guys for participating and bringing that home. Those good feelings. Ending up. We ended up. That's good. And Garen, he isn't Ho-Chunk Winnebago, but he is. He proved that the other day. He stood up there and sung our songs. He is a Winnebago. Thank you, Garen, for doing that, for being there for us and singing those songs for us, knowing those and passing that on. And some of us know more than others, and it's good to see those things when you go to these powwows. You see that happiness on their faces and that determination, And that's really something. And when we talk, as we get older, and we hear our people talk our language and pray in our language and the way of life we live, and they do that, you know, for us. You know, they sit on the ground and they pray all night, things like that, and then powwows and singing our songs and our prayers and our language and stuff. That's good. I really feel good. You guys brought that home to us. You know, we end up, and that's good. Thank you guys. I'm really proud and I'm happy. It makes me feel good. I'm gonna have a very good day today. Hopefully tomorrow goes into tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Coley.
So, one of the other things too, just thinking as we move forward, next year's get together gathering. We have a buffalo herd too. We can make those kind of arrangements, whether it's for meat or whether it's to take one down there. But I think these are good things. And then one thing that kind of pops into my mind is this year's celebration here in Winnebago. I think it would only be right that we extend an invitation to them, inviting them up, and then return some of the hospitality that they've shared with us, and maybe even far as allowing them to take part in a couple different dances or however. There's a lot of planning and a lot of things that could still be done. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there and put the fillers out there and kind of keep that idea and returning the favor back around. And I wanted to say thank you to you guys, Eric and Tori and Garen, for going down there and doing that, representing the tribe on behalf of the people. And then I was thinking about that drum that was gifted to the tribe. We got to feed that drum a while back and take care of it like that. And there's a lot of power in that drum. I don't want to say too much on it, but there's a lot there that's really something when we're gifted that, and then just to hear that drum when we're able to sing on there, it has a real good sound to it. And there's some drums out there that have a hard time coming by that sound, but that one that they gifted to us, it seems like it just keeps that sound constantly. No matter if you take it out today or tomorrow, it's still going to sound real good. So I just wanted to say thank you to them for that, thinking about that. And then I look forward to this coming year, what's going to take place. I know there's been some things talked about, all these different mask mandates and all that, and that kind of stuff. And then looking at budgets and power committees and all that kind of stuff. So thinking about that, just kind of advertising. Need some help from the membership on those kind of things. So thank you.
Thanks, Isaac. So more to come on that, and thank you for suggesting that we do something at powwow. That would be nice. The next discussion is a STAC tribal consultation work group meeting. Probably about 3 years ago, the Secretary Tribal Advisory Committee, which I'm the vice chair to, started a tribal consultation work group, and that was during the Trump administration. And as you know, the Biden administration has put out the need to consult. And so that just means that every time that there's any policy, law, or program that impacts the tribes, any changes, that they're supposed to ask the tribes and get their feedback. And it's a formal process. The Winnebago tribe has their own tribal consultation process. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, the rules of engagement, you know, what our expectations are and how our protocols go. And so on the Fed side, for these tribal consultation work groups, there's also work towards this. During the Trump administration, some of the tribal leaders wanted to change this, wanted to tweak that, and there was advice saying, well, we need to be politically smart, and we don't want to ask for something that could result in further erosion of this or that. And so during that administration, we didn't complete the work, but we started it. And then the pandemic hit. So there's still this work group that's been trying to meet remotely. And I'll tell you that I think they're meeting right now. It's just hard to get this group together because before they used to bring us somewhere and we'd be in a room for 4 days and we just knock it out. You guys know how it's hard to just get it done. It's same way. You can't get tribal leaders from all over in one spot. So after over and over, they finally said, let's just get in person because we could go a year with trying to do this. So they suggested dates, which were the first dates suggested, and now there's new dates out. So I don't know if those new dates out will work for me, but I'm looking for a travel approval if I'm able to participate. If I'm not, and we have council business, then I'm not. This is reimbursed by the agency, and the final product would be an HHS travel consultation policy, and then all the agencies below HHS, like IHS, CDC, SAMHSA, HRSA, you name it, they're to model theirs after, because each agency has its own consultation policy. And so then they kind of like say, oh, well, we're waiting for HHS to finish. And we're like, so it's a lot of this going on. Like, we can't do ours till you guys do yours. So that's been a little bit of encouragement to get this done. And that's what it's about. Does anybody have any questions? I know I talk about the stack a lot, but I talk about it like you guys just know all about it, but
No. I guess I would make a motion to approve travel for the tribal council, those that are interested in attending the stack work group meeting for the dates that are provided here, or either if you said there's new dates that are coming up.
yeah, so the original dates suggested were March 29th through April 1st, and then it went from April 6th to the 8th, and so all the dates are being vetted out now. So we have a motion by Isaac. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Eric. Discussion. The other thing that I always send you guys these different links and things. Even if I'm the delegate, anybody can join the NIHB meeting to listen. Anybody can join the stack meeting to listen. It's really good information.
I have a comment.
Yes.
My sister is married and her husband's from Rosebud, and I was telling him about our hearings. The Winnebago tribe has that bill that they're going to vote on this week, and we had to challenge in the state of Nebraska to get our share of the state of Nebraska's ARPA money that they got counting us. We had to raise our voices, and that's what this bill is. And if it goes through, it's going to help toward $2 million towards our reverse osmosis water system that we need to do to clean up our drinking water. And I was talking to my brother-in-law, and he's from Rosebud, and I was telling him, I asked him, are the South Dakota tribes challenging the governor in the state of South Dakota for their share of the ARPA money? And he said, I don't know. I said, the state counted all of the tribes, so the tribes should get their share of the state money like we're doing in Nebraska. And he said he's going to talk to his council rep for his community and put him in touch with our tribe because they don't know. It sounds like those tribes up there don't know. And I'm feeling bad for them because now's the time for them to be challenging in their state to get their share of those funds. So I hope, I don't know, Chairwoman Kitchian, when you talk to these different chairmen and women, that you pass that on to them because they may not know that they can go for those funds. But anyway, he said he was going to have his Rosebud Council rep put him in touch with us so we could share with them what we had to do in Nebraska.
Okay. Thank you, Lorelei, for sharing that information. And that's kind of what it's all about is, especially in our area, the Great Plains area, we have to look out for each other. We have to share information. We saw that when we went down for the legislative luncheon, we pulled together, and the 4 tribes in Nebraska pulled together with us, and they said, we've got similar problems. Let's work together. So Want to thank Santee, Omaha Nation, and Ponca doesn't have a system, but they were there through Judy's leadership. So going back to Lorelai's comment, there are all these calls, there are all these letters sent, and there's so many moving parts, and you can't be everywhere, and you can't be in every meeting. But maybe somebody from your area was. So thanks for mentioning that. And the thing worth mentioning, like Nebraska, South Dakota, some of their, Governor Kristi Noem and some of the actions she took during the pandemic, they weren't on the same page with the tribes. And so this is a chance where they could come together, I guess. So thanks, Lorelai. So let's see, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion? Motion carried 8-0-0. The next item is 11th Tribal Land Staff National Conference. Council, I had sent that and I didn't ask for the motion. Oh shoot, the waiver, sorry. We've got the waiver and consent, 21st Mortgage Corporation. Council, that's in your packet. We had a tribal member who is working with the company to get a new home, a new trailer home. And in order to do that, the company's willing to haul the old trailer out. This is on a property that we talked about trying to help them burn it, trying to help them clear it. But at this time and the situation and the factors, they just want to move the trailer and they're going to leave that house for now, but they still like to, I'm talking about the Connie Rogers property. And for now, they're just going to get that trailer out of there. And the company's willing to haul it for free, but they wanted to make sure it didn't belong to anybody, that they had authority to come haul that out of there. And so we started doing research. Brian was helpful reaching out to facilities and trying to find out, where's this title at? How can we get this title? Credit didn't have it. Properties, Erica didn't have it, but Irita's team did find it. And they were working to match up those identifying numbers with what they had, and of these 3 titles, which ones did these go to? So I was trying to figure out what was the process when these trailers were gifted to some of these elders. I know there's another family that they're in a similar situation, except those people are still living. At least one of them is. So hoping to help them get this done.
So is this a one-time?
This is a one-time thing. So I had Jennifer look at this form to make sure that this was good to sign. She told me to add nothing contained in here constitutes a waiver of sovereign immunity, and this basically forfeits the trailer. So I'm looking for a motion because I don't want to sign this without council action.
I'll move it back.
So we have
I'll make that motion.
You want a second, Brian? Kenny motion.
Sure.
Okay, we have a motion.
Either way.
We have a motion by Kenny and we have a second by Brian to authorize the signature waiver of consent by homesite leasee and or Native American tribal entity to 24th Mortgage Corporation. Discussion.
What they're gonna do with it?
Well, that's the same thing I said, because I said, well, are they going to sell it? Are they going to, I started asking all these questions because I wanted to make sure she was not getting,
Tell them we got 2 more by the Powell grounds.
Yeah,
So
I was,
they're gonna,
I was gonna say that. Good.
they're going to take them to the dump for her, but the dump is the one that actually wants the title. So that probably it's all legit.
I think that would be something to look forward to on the other trailer houses throughout our community, of how they dispose of that trailer. Maybe we'd be able to follow that as well.
This would be a good path for them. If any of those people are looking to get a new trailer and finance through this company, they'll come and take care of it for you and haul it out of there. So that's a good,
I agree.
good info. So we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion? Motion carried 8-0-0. Thank you, council. We'll get that to that family. The next one is the 11th Tribal Land Staff National Conference. We've talked about this a couple times. The Physical Resources Tribal Land Management team is registered. We're really happy that Fanny's our new director and she's planning to go. Teresa was interested in going. Teresa processes the resolutions and requires an understanding. Often she takes phone calls about those resolutions, so she worked with our land department and would like to broaden her understanding of this topic. Also wanting council that are available to attend. I really want us to all sharpen our pencils. The thing, unfortunately, this is the same time as NAFOA. Ron and I committed to NAFOA, so I was going to hopefully share and look at Teresa's materials. With that, is there a motion for the tribal council to attend this conference as well as Teresa?
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Eric. We have a second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. Thank you, council. We have a 5-star awards quote approval. I believe this was for the wrestling state qualifiers. The council has been really generous and cool. Every time we have some of these kids go and excel, been trying to honor them with a gift of their achievement. So is there a motion? I'm looking for this. Here we are.
Inventory.
Yeah.
There's actually 2 different quotes on there. One is for like a screen print and the other is for embroidered design. So I wanted to put that option out there to council.
Thank you. Council, do you have a preference and do you have a motion? Teresa, did we do screen print or embroidery for the other ones?
I did a screen print for the football team because there were so many of them. I believe the other ones were all embroidered.
Okay, council looking for a motion. The first one for
I'll make a motion for the embroidered quote.
What's this NSEA? What is that?
NSEA. Where's that at, Lord?
Oh, this is the girls wrestling.
There's 2 of them. There's one for the.
Oh. Oh, okay. So NSEA Sports, is that the technology club? Okay. I don't want to call it technology club, but the computer guys.
Okay, so that motion would be for the embroidered NSEA sports. And also the embroidered for the girls state wrestling.
Thank you, Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection to the motion.
Who is the NSEA sports?
It's
No, but I mean, who are the athletes? What's their? What did they go? These are girls wrestling?
Boys, or I think it's, so the girls is wrestling and the other one is, I think boys and girls. There might be more boys from the picture I saw.
So I'm just gonna say boys and girls wrestling.
Yeah. Explain it. It's like video games and technology and.
I think which, I'm not sure, I don't see the quote here, but there's a thing called esports. And Winnebago won the state championship, and I believe it was like in Mario Kart or something like that. And so they won, and they're bringing back that NSEA esports. And it's a career field. I know that it's getting real big. And one time I went up to Mystic Lake, and they had an esports tournament. Like top dollar was $100,000. So we might have some good athletes in esports. And then just to kind of follow up and let council know, we went down the Winnebago Indian News for the girls NSAA. It's the first time that the NSAA sanctioned the girls wrestling, and we had 3 girls go down there, and they made history by doing that. And Darian, they call her Huns, she placed 4th out of all the girl wrestlers in Nebraska. Precious Decora, she qualified, and then Trevor Wilkie's daughter, Ivani, yeah, she got in there as well and did an excellent job. So it was really cool to see Winnebago represent. Unfortunately, the fellas didn't make the state tournament this year. They had them running at the same time. But yeah, we're very proud of the girls wrestling, and none of them are seniors. So it looks like they'll be back next year as well.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you and congratulations to the students that are passionate about their sport and what they're involved in, and it takes commitment, and I really feel happy for them. So we got a motion and a second. Any further comments?
Comment.
Quilly.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for these kids, and we need to. These are the things. I think the Boys and Girls Club stated these things. They start doing these things for our kids because all our boys and girls are not into basketball or football, and track and field. So, there's gamers, and our kids are even excelling in performing arts, on the stage, poetry, plays, and so on. So that's good. We need to really focus on that other side of our children, who don't excel in athletics. So it's great. Thank you.
I'd also like to.
Who was that second?
Isaac.
I'd also like to say congratulations to our tribal members that have partook in that and is bringing that home and being ambassadors for our community in that way of these new sports that are coming up. So with that, good job well done. Keep it up.
Thank you, Council. I'm gonna call for the question. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. 6 bids for blankets. I added this based on our recent trip. We took the last star quilt that was in the closet. We did return with a beautiful kind of fuzzy, nice blanket that will go in the closet for us to gift. On another occasion, we received that from the Oto, Missouri tribe. But I wanted to ask the council to request bids from community star quilt artists so that we could perhaps replenish, and that we have maybe at least 4 quilts on hand if we ever need them. And every day brings something new. Sometimes we have a guest, sometimes we have mourners or things that we need. So that's what I was looking for, and I thought that if we did a bid, we could share that with some of our community ladies and maybe even guys that so that's what that's about. Eric.
I'd like to speak on this as well. When we went down to the Oto country in Oklahoma down there, we kind of went down there and we didn't have enough gifts for everything they were doing for us. And this is not only for those type of operations, but this is also for community member passings as well, because we always kind of want to conduct business. Things need to be taken care of, and we want to follow the old way of at least presenting a blanket and requesting to move forward with some of the tribal business. And sometimes that's not applicable. And so with that, there's just numerous reasons that we'd like to get these bids out, because even showing thanks or appreciation for people coming into our community and doing good things, we'd like to recognize them as well. And so with that, that's kind of why I would like to say about that much, and I want to make the motion for the bids on these blankets.
Thank you, Eric. We have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. We have a motion by Eric. We have a second by Brian. Thank you.
Tori,
Coley.
I have an idea. Do we, in these bids or in the future, do we want to get a design from, all our artists? Like we have a flag. So this blanket maker come up with a design that we like for now. And that's what they concentrate to show the Winnebago tribe, Winnebago tribe in Nebraska, and just a symbol, on. So we have 4 or half a dozen blankets on hand, for these things.
Sounds good. So you're thinking maybe like if they were to embroider or somehow design one that's like that puts a flag or does something that makes it resemble that it's a Winnebago.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be the flag, but they're getting crafty these days.
Like a
with
ribbon
their-
work or
Yeah,
something that's
yeah,
cool.
Yep.
Okay. Council, do you have any idea on how many you would want to purchase. Do you want to keep 4 on hand? I asked Teresa about space. She said that she could, store how many. I just don't want to keep too many on hand because sometimes things just.
I would say about 20 to 30, maybe 25, because we always have things going. We always have deaths going, and sometimes when we leave, we want to be able to keep up with the demand of the blankets. And so I would say 20 to 25 mainly, because we're going to have reaction time, because once these things start going, they're going to go, and then it's going to take
Like 4.
a certain amount of time to replenish our supply.
Madam Chair, what if the bid states that it's a minimum of 10 blankets? I'm for whatever works. I'm just,
Yeah.
whatever option.
Then going back to however many, depending on how many bids we got, I would like to get one from, if we could spread the love and everybody gets to participate. But so how about we get the motion for the bid and then I can show you guys, go from there. I just want to get it going. Yeah, Star Quilts.
Okay.
Well, I thought Star Quilts, but it could be any kind of blanket somebody wanted to make. I seen a tribal elder. She does hers hand stitched. Like
I
whatever
think
people wanted to bid and contribute.
I think quilts would be good because we have more than enough tribal members that would be able to fill in and make those should we need that. And I when I say that, I say that in a good way where it's good things where we're going to other people's lands and they're coming here and that way, and not just for wakes or anything like that. But I would say also keep in mind the star quilts.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, how are we going to control the quality of quilts that are presented? There's good quilt makers in this community, and there's people that'll just make them to sell to the tribe for some money with no significance to the craftsmanship.
So in this request for or in this bid, we can put that for them to give an example of their work. I know when different ones have bidded for crowns and things like that, they have to show, this is what I've done before.
What they can do.
Yeah, so we could ask for an example of like a picture of their work or something that
Okay.
shows.
Okay.
I just wanted to add one thing. Skating on a fine line here. Almost sounds like we're preparing for inviting death amongst our community. You don't prepare for those kind of things. Same thing as leaving a grave open. You always keep it covered after it's dug. But I would be in favor of getting these for gifts that people come and visit the tribe. But I just kind of put that out there because one of the things on some of these things that go on, a part of the prayer that we try to make is that nobody follows that person that's taking that's going on their way. And if you look at some of the things that we've had a lot of numbers, a lot of people head out on us. So I just wanted to kind of say that maybe they're just for visitors, for gifts for visitors. Kind of put it like that. But we just got to kind of be careful. I know there's good intentions, but we just got to be careful as the table and stuff. So as the leaders and stuff like that. So thank you.
Thanks, Isaac, for that reminder and recognizing that there are protocols and the way that we do things. But the intent was just to have something on hand in the way that we've had on hand, and we've depleted what was on hand. So just to whatever the good reasons that the council would want to share those gifts, just wanted to make sure that there was something available.
And I missed the first part of the discussion and what type of blankets you're talking about. If we're looking at something to represent the tribe, star quilts are soothing. But also, what did you suggest and all that stuff?
So the intent was to replenish the stock of blankets that we have kept on hand from, I don't know how the tribe, if they bought these in the past or if they were gifted to the tribe, but from the time that I've been on the council, Teresa has had I guess, I don't know, a stock of them, and when we need them, she goes to the closet and she pulls out. I said, Teresa, do we have any blankets? And I know they've bought them from the casino before, so they don't have to be star quilts even. I was just looking for a way to promote a little commerce within the community with some of our local artists. That was all. And it was actually stemming off of going to Oto encampment and us recognizing that there are protocols when we go to visit and that I should have taken care of and be thinking of those. So it was just on the mind.
Okay.
And so I hear what you're saying about the star quilt, but it just that seems to have been adopted and generally accepted as
Giveaway item.
a giveaway item. But
Okay.
I'm open to whatever the council would like to do. It was just to start the discussion and take care of that.
I think we could have more talk on that once we get done here
Yeah.
on a design or price or
Or
how we're
even,
gonna move
or
forward.
even, you know, like you said, shawls or what, you know, what is baskets or something, you know, that we can get that represents us as a tribe.
Okay. So how about I could put together a list of things and you guys could look at it and
I think now that we're on this meeting, to let the enrolled membership know that we're doing this, and maybe they can put in a price bid as well, and that'll go for all of our enrolled member quilt making individuals, so that way we're not leaving anyone out, and just kind of see what the prices are, you know, what kind of designs, you know, you talked about that. I know there's a lot of good ones that I think majority of them are good, if not all of them, and so just to put that out there into the community, you know, something good for them.
Yeah, okay. I mean, so that's all he wants to know. I mean, I support anything that supports our community, you know, and I just, you know, thought that something that represents Winnebago would be better. You know, I'm nothing against our quilts, but, you know, if that's what we can get and that's what's on hand, that's, you know, that shows our appreciation to our local crafters and just showing that we appreciate, you know, all tribes and give it's more of a giveaway item, and I think our baskets and bundles would be preparing for those would be more representative of the tribe.
Thank you. Good feedback. Okay. So we do have a motion and we do have a second. So do we still want to
Brian
proceed with?
seconded it.
Yeah, and then I will take the feedback and make sure that it's not just blankets, that there are other items that could lend value to what the tribe will be doing in the future. Okay. So I will bring that back. Is there objection to the motion? Motion carried 800.
Madam Chair, I want to make a motion to suspend the rules. We have two items. We have a tribal member request for an executive session, and we also have to make a decision on the opioid litigation settlement. If we're going to approve that settlement, the documents have to be sent to the lawyer, Dave Domina, tomorrow. So we need action on those.
We have one more discussion.
Excuse me, Council. So we have 7, which was added as in-home caregivers, and then 8 was added for powwow
okay.
discussion. And then I have a note right after that to do the suspension of rules because,
Okay.
as Lorelai noted, we have to approve our opioid settlement paperwork. We have to approve the draft of the FY23 appropriations draft testimony. That one could wait till general council if people don't want to do that one today, if you want a chance to read it. And then the third one is executive session with a tribal member. Can we do these two first, Lorelai? and then go
Yes,
into-
I'm
okay.
sorry. I thought we were done. I was looking at the bottom here, it said bid for blankets, so I thought we were done.
Oh shoot, I got my scribbles here. Okay. So at this time, we're at in-home caregivers, and then turn it over to Vice Chair Chamberlain to begin the discussion.
All right, thank you, Council. I added this item simply because I know that we're going to have probably a lot more in-depth discussion at the next CEO report based on what Linnell has replied with in her email and et cetera, but I wanted to put it on this agenda because I know some of the tribal members are unaware of what we're actually pushing toward with this. You'll recall last spring, I made a motion to authorize the creation of a tribal member services department. And at that time, the discussion was centering around assisting tribal members with administrative functions, as well as providing a touch point that tribal members would be able to reach out to if they were looking for certain things that an existing program or operation would not necessarily be able to help them with. And so in the overall tribal member services discussion, as that has evolved over the past year, one of the things that has come up within that we are going to again talk about more in depth at the CEO report is an in-home services type entity and operation that the tribe, I would like to see us get into. And so as you guys, as the council is aware, the emails that I sent, I put out a Facebook post asking what is on the minds of tribal members when they think about this type of in-home care, and the responses came back in a wide and varied format. There were some answers that were pretty much standard and uniform that were repeated, and then there were some answers that were given that were very specialized and unique. With that being said, I would like the council to consider in a more real way as we approach these other meetings, how we're going to be able to actually effectuate this. So in that part of the discussion, Madam Chair and Council, some of the things that I wanted to bring forward are, as we transition to this, we're going to have to establish what this budget is going to be for this, what it's actually going to entail, meaning how are we going to employ people to provide this type of service in home care in the various formats to the tribal members in need, as well as what they're looking for. Tied to that budget then would be as I stated in my email, I initiated a conversation with the president of Little Priest Tribal College in order to see what type of activity they could engage in that would help facilitate the instruction of tribal members who wanted to become caregivers or either credentialed type caregivers, because there are all various levels across the spectrum. Some people, of course, they go to school for certain things, and then there is a state issued caregiving certification that I also emailed in a separate email, that it can be done, I think, with, I want to say it was 8 to 16 hours of instruction. So there are all types of forms that can come in. The point is, getting Little Priest Tribal College involved would help bring this forward in, I guess, a more concrete way, so that the people who are interested in this or need this on behalf of themselves or their families would be able to get that type of learning and education brought to them. The other part of this is going to be, I don't know how much detail we're going to be able to attach to 12 clans, or what we would need to do maybe in the budget appropriations ask that is coming forward in order to help facilitate this, because what I'm envisioning is pretty much an open door to everything. And what I mean by that is that every type of in-home caregiving scenario I would like to see us approach. Now, of course, we may not be able to facilitate all of those on day one, and we're probably not going to be able to. But if we begin the planning process of how we're going to pay for these services and how we're going to establish what these services are on behalf of the tribal members, I think that's going to set us up for a long-term success toward this issue. So I have a couple other things, but are there any comments or questions so far from the council?
Thanks, Brian. I think that it's a much needed, I think it's a gap in our services. Maybe that's the best way to call it. And I think that as a community, we could learn about what type of things that there is even help for. And if a person, I guess all of a sudden has to take care of another individual, or that there's a health outcome that changes life, then people don't know where to start. So I think this is something that could be helpful in the long term. The first thing that comes to mind as I was listening to was credentialing, and so I wonder if this is, like you said, some type of service out of our public health nurses, or if this is a completely new healthcare entity. So those are my questions. Are I guess, on how, what the structure looks like and where it lives. Because there is going to have to be some administration over, or if it's just helping them utilize the state system and then just helping them get trained. And I guess I'm just wondering how this is formalized in the community, or if that we're just going to train people through a state credentialed opportunity. So that's because then it makes me think of the assisted living, and I'm like, okay, is this a component of assisted living? Is this a component of public health nursing? That's what I mean. Like, where does it live?
Sure. And that part of the discussion, I know there's other hands up and stuff. I was going to touch on that next. With that is, I reached out to Jack when he was down here for the Veterans Highway honoring, and I also had emailed all of the previous committee members. That was Jack, Sarah Snake, and Billy Decora, to try to coordinate a meeting to see where the actual assisted living facility discussion left off, because I know that seems to be kind of this outlier that's out there. I was not involved in that project nor that discussion, but at the same time, I know that a lot of work was done toward that. Facilitating that discussion and then combining it toward how in-home caregiving would be able to be applied to that overall need, if you will, that is something that we will continue to explore. But I do look at them as very different projects. Obviously, one involves a building, one involves people, but they could be combined in some way depending on whatever direction we go. But I didn't want to, I guess, over encumber the discussion with it's going to be this everything type thing right out of the gate. I see Eric's hand up.
Yes, I was, as I was listening to you, I was thinking that I've heard a lot of our enrolled membership, they do have their CNA license. And that CNA field is pretty big. You know, you got phlebotomy, you can work in a hospital, you can do house calls, you can do a lot of things in that field. And that's kind of pretty much about all we're looking for is some senior help like that. And as has been said, that for Little Priest to, you know, be on board with this, you know, I commend them for that. You always hear about homegrown, enrolled tribal members being first in line for something like this, and I think that would really be something great if Little Priest can start doing CNA classes. The beginning of that, the even maybe even run up to the RN level of that kind of care for supervisor purposes. And I just think that'd be good. And as has been said, the funding for that would be reimbursable through the state or the government, something like that. I think you kind of covered some of that, talking about a building with your vision, maybe without a building. If we can tie that in with a hospital, a state entity, no matter how it goes, to be able to have a place for these individuals to congregate and keep track of all the houses in case one can't come in, do house calls, help around a house, or ensure that medicines are delivered, something like that. Even doing welfare checks on a lot of our elder members, because it wasn't that long ago, within a week or 2 weeks, we've had 2 of our enrolled members pass away, and nobody checked on them. And that went for, I don't know how long that's been. That's terrible that had to happen. And I think it would be looking at trying to prevent that in the future and ensure the best way of life for our elders right now. And so I don't know if we're going to have to, with this, talk about the what was that, the healthcare, the senior aided living, the assisted living project again, if we're going to have to bring that back to life. I would be okay with that because I think we're really in dire need for something along the lines of what we're talking about today. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Brian, I'm interested in being a part of that discussion with the group you're trying to pull together. I wasn't a nursing home committee member. I just used to go to the meetings, and they reached a point where they were gonna have to start over. So you're right that there was a year's worth of work, only to come to a point that they would have to start all over. So that was really frustrating for the group, and there was two factors. There was that factor, and then the second factor was of the surveying of the seniors, what emerged was different than what we were working towards. We were working towards this nursing home reimbursement model, and what we heard from our seniors was that they needed more of the assisted living model and what Brian's talking about, that in-home caregiver. So with that, Brian, I'm down to help. Fully.
Thanks. I'll be 100% support of this idea for the future and try and help make it happen for our seniors, our elders coming up. Some of us going to be there sooner or later. The assisted living and educating our people, to help this community, our elders and stuff. I support this 100%. How it gets rolling, like was stated, the nursing home, it just wasn't doable. Maybe it is doable. This is doable. You start talking big, with what the plans we got going on, and we're looking at our future with this Nebraska gaming. Again, can't get too fired up, but it's good to dream, and maybe we do have the resources. Maybe we did have the resources to do that nursing home. The Winnebago tribe, whether it's our corporation, our gaming, our healthcare facilities, with those pots of money, we really have to look at, and we all have to get on the same page if we really want to serve our people and take care of them coming in the future days ahead. It would be a good idea. It's going to be a great idea. And like I said, I'll say again, we probably do have the resources to do this. Thank you.
Thanks, Coley.
I think Brian's suggestion comes right about the time we're seeing nursing homes closing down left and right because of staffing problems and all that type of stuff. So maybe we're on the right track in pursuing something like this. I'm not so convinced that anymore the nursing homes are the best place to go if assisted living can be provided on a professional level.
Thank you, Kenny. So, Brian, what are you looking for in next steps, or what's the next in your research and outreach?
Well, today's point was pretty much just an introduction of the discussions that have been going on, and I want to make it really clear for everybody who's listening, and then also again for the council members' purposes. No decision has been made whatsoever in any direction. I have not obligated the tribe to any type of, we are going to do this. This is simply an initiation of the discussions that are necessary, I believe, in order to gain an idea of what the tribal membership is looking for, what they want, what they would like to see, as well as their own ideas toward this, and then pretty much weigh that against what type of resources would we have available to place toward reaching these goals. So in that clarity, Little Priest has not made any type of decision toward anything. I want to make that clear. And with that being said, it's simply how can we yoke the strength and the, I guess, idealism of all of the parts of the organization to help bring this into reality. And obviously, Little Priest, as our educational arm, does and should play a role in that. I wanted to make that clear though. But getting back to the main points with this, I do not want this to be taken as a derailment of any type of structural assisted living project that has happened in the past, because it is not. I look at it as a in tandem, hand in hand type project that we can do that will push us toward that ultimate goal. Because I do believe there is a need for actual nursing home type facilities here in Winnebago and with the community membership at large. There is definitely a need for the in-home care, which is the point of today's conversation. And then there is the larger need for overall health care and nursing profession, etc., that the tribal members are looking for. So as we have this discussion, and to answer your question very specifically, this is not a request of any type. It is simply a initiation of the discussion and how we can continue to move this forward. Like I said, I will be gathering the existing members of the committees to try to pull them back into the fold, so to speak, and start these conversations again to see where we left off. If some things can be taken and moved forward, then we will go in that directions. But if some things still have to wait, then we'll see why, or what we can do to help move these things forward. The overall point is this is moving forward. I do plan on continuing to work toward this. And of course, anyone who has any type of interest or availability, you're by all means welcome to help participate. Again, the other tie-in though that I do not want it to get forgotten about, when we do have the next CEO's report, the Tribal Member Services Department that is to be created, I look at this as being housed within that, simply because the Tribal Member Services Department is going to be the catch-all to again, like I said earlier, to when an existing program or existing department cannot, or I hate to say it, won't reach out and facilitate a solution. That's what this is supposed to be for. It's a little quiet again, Tori.
Ideas that I'd like to link up with you on that. Um, okay, so with that, council, I'd like to take a 5-minute recess before we go into our next item, which will be the POW discussion. From there, we'll suspend the rules and talk about the FY23 appropriations draft testimony, the opioid settlement, and an executive session. I emailed Brandon and Garen asking for that link, so we're going to take a 5-minute recess at this point to proceed in the next portion of the meeting. Everybody, welcome you back from our recess. Thank you, council, that took a break and came back fully ready to get a next part of a discussion. We're on the Powell Committee discussion, and council, as you know, and community members, tribal members, the Powell Committee has been advertised for several months now, and we've received one applicant. We appointed Mr. Gordon Rave, who's helped with the Powell probably for over 20 years, and so I feel good that Gordon applied and is also one of our veterans. He's our commander, and he's also our commander of our Veterans Association. So very thankful to have Gordon on board. Rona had some good ideas. She talked to us last year about, she really wanted to, how do we say this, standardize some of the processes and the finance functions of the Powell Committee. And Rona was really helpful in serving on the Powell Committee in the past and had some good ideas. So Rona's put those thoughts to paper and brought us together to talk about, one, how we can try to encourage more community members to apply for the Powell Committee, how we could do some of the administrative work that we need to get going on this, and I'll turn it over to Rona.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so last year sometime we were talking about the powwow and how, I know we didn't have it for 1 year, and then we had it last year for 3 days. And a lot of it's, every year it's like last minute planning, you know, and so what I want to do is, you know, to try to get a general formatting or planning schedule, you know, for future powwow committees. But kind of like a list of, like an agenda for each meeting. You know, you follow up and you make notes and selection process. But I'm just looking to see if there's any volunteers out there that would see Tyresha and get an application. And what I'm looking for right now is a support from council. I talked with Isaac, and he mentioned it to Eric, and there's a few of us tribal council members that want to go ahead and start the administrative process of it. And that's, you know, taking care of the arena, taking care of like all the contracts of services that we need, you know, and putting ads out there for vendors, craft vendors, food vendors, everything like that. If we can get that started, and once we get more people for the powwow committee, they can start doing the selection and asking of, you know, the principal staff and all that other stuff. I'm just looking to make sure that we're accountable and fiscally responsible for the money that we can be collecting, and making sure this powwow goes successfully. So that's pretty much it. I know this isn't complete. There's always more to it. And so I'm just looking for support to allow us few TC members that do want to get this going. And like I said, you know, I'm not looking to make any decisions on anything. I just want to make sure we're fiscally responsible and having everything into finance at the right time with the right documents. So if anybody else has any comments, I'd appreciate guidance and support. Thank you.
I like the excitement of waiting till the last minute.
Recruited Gordon. Gordon's the only one that has applied, and I sat here and waited, and nobody has ever said anything. So I'm just trying to help out and be able to get this going as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Rona. I appreciate you picking this up, and you know, that's kind of how it is on council. There's so many things going on, and sometimes we just need somebody to pick something up, you know. And so thank you, Rona. Eric.
Yes, I would agree. So if there's a enrolled community members interested in helping us out during this time, you know, we're running kind of late already, looking at the budget. getting meetings underway. So if anyone wants to help out, like it's been said, see Tyresha, because there's a lot of things that need to be looked at this year. And one of the things that we're really looking at this year is doing the arbor, if we can get that in there as well. And yeah, I just support this and think that we really need to get on this sooner than later. And so even if we don't get anyone applying to be the committee members, then, you know, the council members or the veterans, we can all partake in getting this accomplished through group effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Isaac.
So one of the things too that maybe you guys aren't aware of is that Hainabena was reaching out to some people to, like Dusty was saying, for the arbor, and we're talking about the grass in there and stuff. So Hainabena has reached out to a couple different companies on having that redone in there. One of the issues that they run into is the sprinkler system, and then people dancing on the sprinkler heads, and then it makes a puddle and a mud puddle, and then those kind of things. So he has reached out, and I believe he start getting bids on getting that redone. But one of the ideas behind that was saying to go towards getting it to where it's kind of like what the kind of grass seed that they use for golf courses. It's high impact. So it continues to look green through the whole powwow, duration of the powwow. And then in the evening time, they would go back with a rake, and they would rake that, stand it back, all back up. So I think that just as we move forward, would probably want to check with him and see how far he's gotten with that. Another thing was saying removing that sprinkler system and putting it on the edges of the powwow arena instead of right in the middle of it. And then some of the recommendations that I've heard talking with some of I've actually talked with the lawn pros today. Yesterday there was a home, what do you call it? They had it at that big expo there by the interstate. But I talked to one of the lawn pros, and they said,
It's just called the home show.
Yeah, the home show. I went over there and I was checking it out and dreaming and wishing of all these great ideas to do to your own home. But I ran into them over there, and they said that have you guys, they're aware of the arena and stuff, and they said, have you guys ever thought about, instead of a sprinkler system, which would be a misting system to where it doesn't saturate it so much, and we have to wait for it to be drying out. Haina has reached out to some golf courses that take care of that area. But that's going to be probably one of the main things, is if we're going to revamp that arena, we got to do it now before it gets any later, because we're going to have to try to grow grass in there again. There was talk before about saying astroturf it, and I would be kind of totally against that for several different reasons. One is it gives off a lot of heat. Two is it's cutting off the connection between us as human beings and Mother Earth. There's a whole thing behind that, but as we move forward, I think that's one of the main things is to be able to get that, besides the programming and stuff. And then looking at one of the other things is that our customs is to always feed the visitors. So as we move forward, the cook shack would probably need some attention. Before we've bidded that out, and people came in and collected that kind of money and then handed out little sack lunches. And I'm not in favor of that happening again. I would be in support of having a full meal out there and utilizing that cook shack, but that cook shack needs to be redone too. So I just wanted to throw those out there as we're discussing this as moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac, for that feedback, and I'm really thankful that James and the veterans have been talking about that. I had shared that feedback with Gordon, and that was some of the debrief that we had last year, was on how we could make the ground better. And so I shared that with Eric too, and Gordon had some really good ideas on long-term plans on what the veterans would like for the arena. So I'll let Gordon share that with his team, but I think it's good thought that we're already thinking of how to make that arena better. I'm willing to help as much as is appropriate for me to help. I think we could do some of these things on the back end and have when we get this committee that they're just, here you go. One of the things that's been talked about is, and it's been brought up multiple times, is a stipend for the committee members. They spend so much time, so I was trying to get a estimate of how many hours they spend prepping, how many hours they spend doing everything, and then even at the celebration. The thought was perhaps pay them the same that we pay the principals, like the head man and head woman. You know, like they come and share their gift, they bring their good feelings, and so everybody has a part. I don't want to say that anyone's more important than one another. There's so much work to pull this off. So that's just a suggestion. I know in the past people have said, you know, what an honor it is, and it is an honor, but it does help. It helps.
I'd like to make a comment on the committee. It's kind of a thankless job, and I just don't think volunteering is kind of in anybody's repertoire anymore. There's no such a thing as volunteer, because when you set that kind of situation up, you're likely to lose a person that volunteers just at the snap of a bad word. You know, I'm doing this for nothing. What the heck are you raising Cain with me about? But I think if there's a financial commitment to what they're doing, you're going to find some good people come out of the woodwork to want to be on that powwow committee. And when you do, you're going to be able to dictate to them what you want done and how you want things to go, because you're paying to have them do that for you. I just think, I'm sorry, volunteering is old-fashioned. And if you want to get the best out of people, you gotta pay for services. Now, I know there's people that don't believe that way, but that's just the way society is today. Nobody does anything for nothing.
Fire department does.
Well, yeah, I know. I like to say there's no such a thing as a volunteer fire department either. But I can't say that in all honesty, because I've had some fires out by my place. But hey, they get Milwaukee weenie coupons. You can bet they do. Or a check in the mail.
So I hope that when the budget comes together, we could think of that. When I was mentioning it to Rona, she was already thinking of ways to try to recruit, and I said, I mean, if you paid them $1,500, just like the head man dancer, and you divided that by 120 hours, which is probably on the low end of what they're gonna, that's $12.50 an hour. You know, like, we're not hooking anybody up. It's really just thank you. So I know we were so close one time to doing something like that, and then one of our veterans visited us and they put us back in our place, but it hasn't been, you know, we're not getting the outcomes that we're hoping for under that model. So how do you want to proceed, Rona? Do you want to get the smaller work group together and then we bring something back to the table for approval?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be best is, so like Gordon, you know, he's the only official appointed committee member, you know, and anybody of the council that wants to pitch in, you know, their time and, you know, their efforts into having a successful powwow this year. That's all I'm looking forward to is being able to still provide the same homecoming celebration that we're accustomed to, and where everybody comes home and dances and has fun and gets to see their family, you know, back to their same rituals as that they used to do. You know, I mean, not like rituals or ceremony, but, you know, just you know, their family gatherings, their feedings, everything like that. That's all I'm looking forward to, you know, and like I said, I just want to be able to start on the administrative portion of it, you know, and getting bids out there and taking care of everything else like we did before. All of us took care of outside the arena, and then we left it up to the veterans and the male relatives to take care of everything inside the arena. So I'm looking forward to, and maybe we'll put out an invite for anybody who wants to participate in a, discussion. And hopefully people from this meeting, we can get more people to volunteer.
I think we should.
I'm trying to get it started. Yes.
I'm trying to help you, but
Yes, I know.
make it my suggestion.
I think we should put a time frame on this, because if we do need more help, we can delegate authority to some of the
From the members.
positions in the tribe, to like the directors or supervisors or something like that. If we have to go that far to get this done, but right now I think we do have a few weeks at the very longest, at the very latest. But otherwise, I think we're gonna have to start moving ourselves if we have to. So, yeah.
There's
Thank you.
maybe two things I'll ask for, action on, or, guidance. Can we go ahead and send out the sponsorship letter to our 100 top vendors so that we
Yeah.
can start getting sponsorships? I mean, can I have direct Alan or Tootie or whoever in the finance office to start that process?
Also, the casino. The casino can
Oh, yeah,
be doing that as
we
well.
can, I
Yeah.
mean, they already have their money set aside for us. It's this other one that casino can do sponsor letters also? Okay. So looking for approval to do that, and then also to start putting advertisement for bids for all the services that we usually do, like security, trash, janitorial, possibly tabulation, the head cook, and then to do the Princess Crown Sash. I mean, those are pretty much set every year. So those I'd like to get started on and advertising for.
Okay.
Especially those crowns, because they take a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for three things. The first one I ask for is to set up a work group that can start some of this. The second one will be for sponsorship letter, and then the third will be for the advertise the bids. So, is there any further comments before I ask for these motions?
The one other thing.
All in one motion.
Okay.
One other thing too, I was looking at, and I think it would be good to run by facilities, but was on the trash thing, is if it would be, we're always talking about putting money back in our tribe, is that if we went to facilities and asked them, hey, how do you guys feel about taking care of the trash? And the reason for that is because they already have the little carts and all the little tools that they need, but we would have to put some money over there to them so we wouldn't offset their budget. And I just throw that out there. That would be one less thing to worry about if we did go that route.
Well, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. I'm doing it all in one big motion.
No.
No, I make a motion to authorize Rona and Gordon to set up a powwow work group, reaching out to the membership to help serve, authorize them to send out sponsorship letters, and authorizing them to advertise for the bids.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 800. Thank you, council. Thank you, Rona and Gordon as well.
And I want to thank Rona. This took some thought, and I think it's very well thought out and comprehensive so that we can have a good powwow. And I'm hoping that in the future years, the tribe will continue to use this template when preparing for the powwow with how she has it listed here. It's a good one.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask one question. Does this motion rule out wanting to pay for a powwow committee?
We haven't approved
No.
the budget yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the motion passed. So the three things that are going to take place is that Rona's going to pull together a work group of the council, and we're going to go through this and just kind of do some of these thoughts. Yep.
Yeah.
And then to get moving on those action items. But what our hope is that we bring back an approved budget, and the council will maybe offer an honorarium to these folks, and maybe we could get some tribal members that want to be the decision makers and the workers and the.
Can Garen re-advertise that on?
Yep. Yep, Tyree. So we'll get that back out there. Okay, so that's.
One more thing, that some of these, it's almost got to be two budgets, because some of these people want money up front, and to just get that started, and then we can do that, a secondary budget approval to finish everything else up that can be paid later at the end of the powwow. So just another, keep in mind. Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, so that motion passed. So that, now we're gonna ask for a motion to suspend the rules because we have 3 additional items to take care of. Or excuse me, 4. So is there a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
We have a motion by Rona.
Second.
We have a second by Eric to suspend the rules. Discussion. Objection to the motion? Motion carried 800. So in that suspension of rules, we're going to add 3 items. That's the FY23 appropriations draft testimony, the opioid settlement, and the executive session. Oh, excuse me. The Trust of Big Bear request, the appropriations request, the opioid settlement, and then the executive session. So the first one we got.
Did you get the Marcella Springer?
Yep, that's the one I'm due first. So the first one, we're not in executive yet, so we just suspended rules. So that passed. Did it pass?
Yeah.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Objection to the motion? 800. Okay. The first one we have, Council, I don't know if you all have it in front of you, but we have a request from Marcella Springer on behalf of Trust of Big Bear, and she is also traveling to the tournament in Denver, Colorado on March 25th. There's a match request of $330. Is there a motion for Trust of Big Bear?
Make that motion.
I'll move that, but I think they were going to possibly add the result of the food sale they did this morning.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on there.
So pending,
No, they have a 50-50 raffle. That's pending.
okay, so we don't, do you want to do pending up to the maximum of allowable match? Will that be helpful?
I would
Yeah.
agree with that.
Okay, so
Oh, sorry, Eric.
did Aaron make the motion or did Brian?
Brian, a second.
What's the allowable amount?
Up to $2,000 is the allowable match, but they have to demonstrate that they raised that. So we have a motion by Eric and second by Brian, is that correct?
That works.
Okay. Is that what you guys said? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, and that is for Trust of Big Bear match up to the allowable amount of $2,000. So whatever they end up making, Brian, we can just add that. Objection to the motion.
You don't move up to the microphone a little bit?
Okay. Sorry about that, Louis. So we have a motion on the table for Trust of Big Bear. And based on her ongoing fundraisers, the match is approved up to the allowable amount of $2,000. We have a second by Brian. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion? Motion carried 800. The next item is the FY23 appropriations draft testimony. Council, you had previously approved this to be drafted. This is for your review. We might want to add some language to it. Brian had mentioned today about further funding to expand in-home care. We can add something to that if you'd like, Brian.
Yeah, I think, just to bring it on there, is probably the direction to go, because we don't have a specific dollar figure that I'm aware of, but still, it needs to be funded.
Okay.
In general, I did read this, and so I think it's pretty good to go.
Okay. Is there a motion then with the addition of in-home care? Or is there any other further topic areas council would like to see submitted?
I think there would be a good idea if there's some kind of discussion regarding tribal road systems. As they're approaching these infrastructure discussions in general, that might be something that, piques their interest, because there's a lot of need there as well.
Sounds good. No one moved it yet.
Isaac moved it.
Oh, Isaac, you moved it?
Yep.
Okay, Isaac moved it with those additions or any further additions to that topic area. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 800. That brings us to our next item is the opioid settlement. Council, as you know, we received a briefing from Dave Domina last week and further explaining the process and how the tribe claims their portion of the opioid settlement. Does the council like to make, would the council like to make a motion on which settlements the council will participate in?
Madam Chair,
The
this
tribe will
would, this would be the Johnson and Johnson, and the multi-distributor settlement. Just to make it clear, this is not the Purdue Pharma settlement. It's just Johnson and Johnson with the multi-distributors settlement. And just so the council knows, this has, if we're gonna approve it, it has to be signed and sent back to the lawyer, Dave Domino's law firm, by tomorrow.
Make that
And
motion.
what we're gonna get is, he told us in our call, the tribe can expect around 750,000. And that since we have a hospital and with substance abuse treatment is through our hospital, this would be, everything that we do this could support, substance treatment that we already do. Thank you.
What we waiting for? Did somebody move it?
Eric moved it. We need a second.
Okay.
Would you like to second that?
Second.
Kunu got it. Discussion.
One quick thing too, council, is that, so with this, I like where it's going. One of the other things too is that, with the hospital, well, first let me back up here a little bit. If there's the infrastructure stuff, the infrastructure possibly adding, like what was made, talking about the adding the roads department to that part, that could help provide that road to wherever this new admin building is going to go. The other thing too is that on this other part of it is that with what Brian's bringing up, his project that he's trying to push with support of the table, is that the CHRs, I believe right now there's 20 positions that can be filled but haven't been. They just can't get the staff or something like that. And then also the alcohol program has a grant that's sitting there and they haven't hired anybody yet far as fully staffed up there. These are just things that I just kind of came to my mind real quick, so I just wanted to kind of put them out there for the council. But that's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Isaac. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion? Motion carried 800. Thank you, council, and that brings us to our executive session item. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Motion, second.
We have a motion by Coley, second by Isaac, to go into executive session. Objection to the motion?
Okay, Coley made the motion?
Yep, Coley made the motion. I think Isaac seconded it, if I heard
Okay.
right.
800.
Objection to the motion? No objection. We are in executive session at 12:21, and we can invite our tribal member in, and we will adjourn from this meeting. And so thank you, tribal members that joined us this afternoon, and we will adjourn out of our executive session.
Does Louis and Brian know there's a link?
Louis and Brian, we sent you a link for executive session if you guys want to jump on that right now.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
Send down.